Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. We're your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
This week on the show, John Wick is back. John Wick Chapter 4, the movie that one Letterboxd reviewer said helped them see God.
Oh my God. Each time one of these new movies comes out, it makes more money and it makes more memorable fight scenes. But is there more left in the tank for this franchise?
You know, plus Garrett's back from his vacation where he visited Scotland. We caught up on some classic movies like Cocaine Bear and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist while he was on the plane. Could he made some better choices? We'll see.
Maybe. We'll have all that and more on this week's episode of So Many Sequels. Don't forget to find us online at somanysequels.com. Follow us on social media and subscribe in your favorite podcasting app. All right. Without further ado, enjoy the show. Well, now we're back on track.
I wrote notes. I got notes for John Wick.
All three of us are back. David and I had to solo it for a couple weeks. Well, not really solo. I guess we duoed it because Garrett was out gallivanting the world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Have
I'm a world traveler now.
Have you brought back any wisdom that is related to podcasting or movies? Or anything, or any wisdom at all, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No wisdom whatsoever. One thing I learned is that, one of the guys, we went to Scotland, and one of the guys that showed us around one of the days didn't wear shoes for 20 years, went to jail for 10 days for not paying a fine for not wearing shoes. Right.
Man,
so again,
tell you what,
it is a world thing. But now in this day and age, he still just walks around with no shoes on. He doesn't care. Nobody really stops him. He just kind of just goes, no, I'm not going to put on shoes. And then nobody really stops. But that whole discussion while I was there brought me back to the whole no shirt, no shoes, no service, and the ever wondering quandary of what about pants?
They never mentioned pants.
They never mentioned pants. So can you just be Winnie the Pooh in it and be fine? Like that seems wrong. That seems like the one I don't want.
As long as you have a shirt, shoes, and shirt and shoes, you're fine.
It does imply that no pants is acceptable.
That's what I'm saying, and that is the dangerous because that's the one I don't want. I'd rather you not have shoes and shirt and be wearing pants. But
probably.
No, yes.
He went to jail for not wearing shoes.
I wanted to catch up just because I missed 65, and I did a little social media review, and it was bad. You guys did a good job of reviewing the bad movie.
Yeah, so. The movie came out and you fled the country.
Yes.
Well, you were smart. I guess retrospective was lucky, but I didn't know nothing. It was in my list of being good.
What did you know, and when did you know it?
I did. I was just trying to get the sales up. I invested in it on. Oh God, what is that? Kickstarter. I invested in it on Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. That was the name of the original Kickstarter app. Was Kickstarter.
No,
it's easy to forget that at this point.
Wow. Well, good. I'm glad that you also got to sit through the misery that was 65.
Yeah,
it wasn't great for me.
Misery is generous because it was frankly like I would have appreciated it evoking misery. It didn't evoke really any emotions for me.
No, not a lot of emotion. I did want to ask though, real quick, has anyone seen anything recently? It's been a while since we've had like a little movie check-in. What have you been watching on your own time these days?
Hang on, Garrett, you go.
Okay, well, my answer is nothing because I've been in another country.
That is true, and that is a valid excuse. But you did catch up on a couple movies, I think, when you got back, right?
Yes, I also watched Cocaine Bear.
Yes.
That barely qualifies as a movie, but it sure qualifies as a great time. It was a lot of fun. Lived up to the hype. It was everything it wanted it to be. It was stupid in the best ways. That one was a lot of fun. Yes.
Okay. You didn't get to do any airplane movies? No little
I watched Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
classic comfort film.
Man,
Classic comfort film.
What a time capsule of a film.
It caught me off guard because that is a movie that I have always liked.
Yeah, David, it definitely
being the indie movie and indie music nerd that I am, it was like right up my, and like the love of Michael Cera and Kat Dennings. It's just it ticks every single box.
There's
right?
a little piece of Nick and Nora between Good Burger and Crank.
Just sandwiched in there.
There's
Well, you see,
Yeah, but
Good Burger.
It was
Burger is child Garrett, right? Crank is teen Garrett, and then Nick and Nora, that's college Garrett. You know,
that's pretty much accurate. Yes,
Fascinating.
that is a very
somewhere,
accurate.
and then somewhere around there's the House Bunny as well.
But it caught, House Bunny is everywhere. But it caught me off guard because they had it in like the classics section. And I was like, in no way,
Wow,
even as someone who enjoys Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, there is no way that is considered a classic.
No,
But
Nick
it
and
caught me
Nora.
off guard. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch that.
I would classify Nick and Nora as probably like a hidden gem because I think most people have actually forgotten about it by this point. And it's like,
I think Hidden Gem could be,
you know,
good. Yeah.
or a forgotten gem. I don't know. Because you saying it was the first time I've thought of it.
Uncut, more like
I've heard about it in years.
Mm-hmm.
Uncut gem.
Yeah.
Uncut Jams. What about you? You watched anything lately?
Me? No, not really. I watched Moana 3 times on Friday Saturday because my son's obsessed with the You're Welcome song.
Who isn't?
And then I watched, I finished Shrinking. And so that was
Great show.
Also
10 out of 10 would and will watch again, actually.
You know, honestly, I'm still on the fence, even though I'm done with the season.
Ooh.
Still on the fence. I like it, but I don't love it yet. And I kind of feel like it's because it has sort of like a nebulous path forward. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what the promise of the show is. Does that make sense?
That's part of what I like about it, though, to be honest with you. They throw me for a loop a lot. I'll think something's about to happen, typically between two people, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen. And then it doesn't, but it's at the last second. But I enjoyed it overall. I think it was a good show.
And I think it has, so I don't have, so this is gonna be one of those sentences, but it has the same problem I have with Ted Lasso, which is that there's just not enough of it. I don't like I don't like these 10 to 12 episode seasons for comedies. Comedies should have comedy should have like 20 episodes a season. Like there should be plenty of stuff to do. There should be hijinks. There should be episodes dedicated to smaller characters, and stuff like that. And I just feel like they have taken Ted Lasso and Shrinking are both like dramedies that are like a little bit self-serious at times. And that's fine because they do a great job of it. But in comparison to the shows that I love, like the comedies I love, it's just like, I guess we're just going to spend some time being sad for a little while now. Like to get back to the laughing part. Anyway, I don't know I think it should be longer because then, you can have an emotionally interesting, heavy episode and then you can have a breather in the next episode. And I just feel like it's all heavy.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I think with that, it's time to get into our main topic.
Yeah, the real heavy
of this week. We are returning to one of our most favorite franchises.
That's true.
It's John Wick. John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick June in March.
Yes,
it's the best I got.
John Wick June come early.
John Wick June come early. Yes, John Wick is back in the 4th installment.
Mm-hmm.
He's killing people. First thing we have to talk out the gate, I would say let's try to do a spoiler-free conversation to start. Because there are a couple of spoilers that I personally feel like I don't know if we can talk about the movie without talking about,
Yes, definitely. There's some big stuff. There's some big stuff to talk about, but also we can just talk about performances and things like that as well.
Yeah. Let's try to avoid some of the big spoilers until later.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go first? Anyone itching?
I would prefer to go last.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Garrett's had a week off, so maybe he wants to go first.
Okay.
I know I need to knock the dust off and remember how to do it. I need to hear you professionals go.
I'll tell you what, I'll go for, well, overqualified amateurs, I'd say. So I'll go first.
Okay.
John Wick was not a franchise that I had any interest in prior to 2019, I think. And then we drew John Wick on the wheel back in the days of the wheel, right? And we came up with this concept of June Wick, or John Wick June. And still fighting for June Wick, if I'm honest. And I was like, okay, first one's good. Second one was really cool, although I don't remember much about the second one. Third one was, holy crap, this is like incredible. The fourth one takes a bit of a dip down for me because I think it's just too long. And I think that after a while it becomes a little bit monotonous. The long extended fight sequences. That's my complaint out of the way. This movie was really, really fun when it, aside from that, I loved all of the new characters. It's already on Twitter, I think. So we can talk about this awesome fight sequence towards the last half of the film where they did like this crazy top-down view, like Hotline Miami or Hong Kong Massacre style. Those are video games. And it just presented it in like a Malignant, I think, did the same thing with this big top-down view where you watch the action happen that way. Incredible choreography. There's some characters I do want to talk about characters more in a minute, but I just got to say Donnie Yen, man, like Donnie Yen's incredible. And if you've never seen Donnie Yen before, definitely check out the Ip Man series. He was in Rogue One. He's incredible. Dude's so fast. Yeah, I mean, after all this time watching Keanu Reeves as John Wick, you get so used to his flow as a fight in the fight. Donnie Yen is so fast. He's just so with the punches and stuff. So it's just driving me crazy. Anyway, I don't know. I'll get in more into. We can dive in more later. But I want to say I really enjoyed this. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as Parabellum, but I did really. I think this is really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go next then. I really enjoyed the movie as well. I have a lot of questions going forward, but overall, I feel like it gave me what I wanted a John Wick sequel to give me, which is John Wick kicking ass in a more impressive way every time. And we got that in spades, I feel like. There were several fight sequences in this movie that blew me away. My favorite, I think, is Nunchuck John Wick. There's a part, I think it was fairly on in the movie, but honestly, some of the fight scenes went so long that it's hard to tell at what point in the movie it happened.
Yeah.
But there's a point where he gets some nunchucks and he just goes to town on some dudes. And I've never seen nunchuck moves like that in a modern movie, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like, I don't know. A lot of the movie felt kind of like an homage to some old samurai films and stuff like that. So I loved seeing that kind of stuff. Then there's a major fight scene toward the end that takes place on a staircase. That's pretty cool. That also blew me away, where I was just at multiple times gasping at what I was seeing on the screen. So in terms of action and turning the notch up on it, I was satisfied with that. The story is tougher because there's a lot of world building in 2 and 3, right? I was trying to figure out what I can say before I want to talk about later stuff.
Right.
And some of the world building has some ends that are tied in this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm debating still whether or not I'm fully satisfied with some of those ends being left open and some being tied up. But I also know that there's more to come in terms of the universe. There's a show coming out. There's a spinoff movie. So I'm still like cautiously optimistic about what could be to come for the overall John Wick universe. But as a whole, I had a great time.
Yeah, I think my I think my review just falls like kind of in the middle of that, or in line with it, I guess, really. I felt like it was too long for what it was. I think that if you're going to give me 3 hours, you need to give me a little story. Like, listen, I'm not expecting a story from John Wick to blow my friggin' mind and be the greatest thing in the world. But I do think that mostly Keanu Reeves just said, yeah. And that was pretty much it. And that it was just a letdown because you had gotten so much world building in 2 and 3, and I'm super into the world, right? And so you give me 3 hours and I'm like, okay, at least give me some of that. And I don't feel like I got any of it, honestly. But what I did get in action was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
It really kind of evens out, but it is just too long. It needed to be 30 minutes shorter. And I think it would have been not as much of a problem.
I agree. I think that, they've gotten longer with each film. And I think that retrospect, having seen this one, I think Parabellum kind of had that perfect length of 2 hours, 20 minutes, I think is what Parabellum was. And I think that that's about as long as you can go, because these extended action sequences, while they're really impressive, there is a feeling of after one is over, you almost forget about whatever development happened beforehand. And so you're like, there's a new character introduced in this movie called, Mr. Nobody, which I feel like is the third Mr. Nobody in movies in the last 4 years, who I honestly kept misunderstanding what his motive was, what his where his alliances were, because one minute he's like, yeah, John, we're in this together. And then he was like, I want to kill John Wick. John, we're pals again. It was very confusing. So I think that, yeah, they probably could have trickled down a few of the longer ones and given a little bit more time to breathe for the story parts, because when John Wick is action, it is full on action. And then when it has quiet moments, they're quiet. I'm thinking about Winston talking to, I've forgotten the character's name, the Bazi, or what, I can't remember, the Marquis, whenever he's talking to him, right? It's very quiet. It's very subdued. Whenever John is talking with Donnie Yen's character, Kane, later towards the end of the movie, it's a very quiet, very still scene, right? And I loved that. But sometimes, you were kind of exhausted. I was personally, at least me, I was exhausted by the end of some of the fights myself, just watching them, let alone imagining being in one. So I know that sounds like I'm coming out complaint heavy at the beginning here. I just want to, I don't know. I feel like I just want to establish that myself as well.
Right.
Josh,
we want to get there's so little bad to say. Just get it out now so we can talk about the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't even think you're fully wrong. I don't disagree with you per se.
But that said, we do get some new places, some new characters. It makes me I am really intrigued by the concept of this organization. Because first of all, this universe is very, very wild. There's assassins literally in every corner of
everywhere at all times.
And we learned that, I think, in John Wick 2 or John Wick 3, where there's just people just sitting at cafes who are actually assassins. There is no law enforcement anywhere to be found in the John Wick universe, because they're having shootouts and gunfights and sword fights in the middle of the streets in some places, and there's not a siren to be heard. So that's crazy to me. That just how expansive this, in theory, criminal empire really is.
Right.
It's really funky and weird. You have this weird group of people who work for the table that are they all look like punk rock, phone operators, and those people are, I don't know what's going on with them.
I love the kind of, it's almost steampunky, I think.
Yeah.
I love the line operators, and I loved how a lot of the communication between the high table and the world of assassins was through a radio show with some not so subtle references to John Wick and killing him, mixed with songs that then worked as the soundtrack to the fight scenes.
Right.
Loved that. That's the vibe of John Wick that I love. It's
Yeah, well,
very
at least-
weird and it's
yeah.
very different, but still close enough to feel like it's of this world.
Yeah, it has a style. It has like a very clear
stylistic.
style. Like they have all this sort of like semi-antiquated technology that they use. Like they use like old computers and old phones. They don't use like brand new. They don't use like the newest tech.
Right.
There's still a lot of questions, and I kind of feel like those questions aren't going to get answered now at this point, because I thought I didn't watch all the John Wick movies before seeing this. I rewatched Parabellum and that was it. And I kind of thought that the point of this movie was going to be one thing, and it really wasn't. Like it went a different direction. And honestly, it felt like directionally, it felt like kind of a rehash of what we already saw in John Wick 3. So I'm really kind of interested to know where the future of this franchise is, because I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I get it, because, a lot of this movie is just genuinely a continuation of 3 up until you get to, the end, where the culmination of this big long chase. So I definitely see that as a valid complaint, that it could have done more to move the story forward versus just kind of letting it cruise along as it had been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like 3 days deep into this chase of John Wick. Is that where we're supposed to be? Like,
I don't know. I
can't remember the timeline, but I feel like it's because
I feel like a lot of time.
1 and 2, I don't remember if there was a gap, but I feel like they picked up real quick, and then 2 and 3, I think, picked up.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this falls on the. What's the time frame?
I think 1 and 2, 2 picks up right where 1 left off. And the same with 3 and 2. Like at 2, he's running away. At the beginning of 3, he's now running through the street. In theory, just minutes later. This one, there's clearly been some time that's passed, because 1, John's training in the Bowery and he's all healed up. That's how the movie opens. And Lawrence Fishburne, you may or may not remember, in the third one, he gets all sliced up. And in this one, most of his scars they're scars now. They're not open wounds like they were at the end of chapter 3. So some time has passed. And based on the events of the last film, you would think, I'm going to get a little bit into the story. I won't get spoilery, but I'm going to get a little into the story here. You would think that, the point is John's going to overthrow the table, right? Because the table is the one that's been doing all this stuff to them and to all these other assassins and screwing over Winston and the Bowery and all that, right? And so John's like, John, that's how the third one ends. John, are you pissed off? And he goes, yeah, right? And that's how the movie ends. So you're thinking, John's going to overthrow the table. And so John starts out to kind of do that, but then he mostly just ends up dealing with one member of the table. And then by, so it kind of like the bigger quest is like, just one guy, not the whole table. We won't mess with that. So that was being more specific. That was kind of where I thought the movie was going to go, is John's going to be on, like, we're going to knock off like 7 people or 12 people that are like the high ranking officials, and John's going to overthrow the table, and then his quest will be done. But that's not really the case here.
No, I like that idea though.
Right.
I kind of wish it were that, but oh man, you're gonna talk my rating down later. I think, I'm afraid.
It's very possible, because
you might. Okay.
Because
I want to hear about some more good stuff though.
Okay.
Because I do think we all still liked it a lot.
Oh, we did. I did. It's a matter of expectation, I guess, is the problem.
Another scene, a fight sequence that I really liked, that I felt like I hadn't seen done quite like that ever before, was where John, I think, basically becomes a transformer and is in that car using it as a weapon and hitting people, and he's like doing donuts and shooting out the window. Like, he's one with the car.
He's slinging people. Yeah.
That scene was sick. It was John, like Frogger.
Anything in John Wick's hand is a weapon. And yeah, so it was actually you had a bigger Frogger sequence later when just past that scene where they get out of the cars and they're just in high speed traffic in France and they're just dodging cars left and right. People are getting slammed left and right. So yeah, it was the fight choreography and the editing of the fight choreography is still top notch. they don't overcut. You know, that's a big issue with a lot of fighting in movies is too much cutting. And, you know, you can't enjoy the fight because it's like, you know, someone goes for an elbow and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, left and right, you know, but here they set up the camera and then they let you see the whole scene. They let you see every punch, you know, and that's really cool.
We're going to get into fight choreography spoilers, FYI. So I feel like we're going to start breaking down scenes. David, you mentioned it, you know, there's so much cutting because in those movies, the action's not real and it's pieced together. And if you know basic film editing, it's cutting on action and it's, you know, wide, medium, close, and it's do all this and it looks like it's doing this, but really someone's just going, okay, put your hand right here.
Yeah.
But this, and you know, you can go back to the Daredevil, that opening scene, or like the episode 2 for 3 fight choreography scene. It comes down to timing when they're these long extended scenes. And that's why I mean, I critique the length of the movie because as movie fans, we want a little more story, right? But as an action movie fan, these long extended action scenes are really appreciated because you can see that it's real and that it's timed and that these are like the expert professionals of their profession, and they are really good. And so this movie gives those people a chance to shine in so many different ways. And they do a really good job of incorporating different styles. Again, you had Nunchuck John Wick. You had Western John Wick to open things up. You've had Frogger John Wick. You had Car Crash Appreciation Week with so many just different car crashes happening left and right. And so and everything was just so perfectly done.
Spoiler alert: Incendiary Shotgun John Wick, a John Wick we did that no one wants to come up against. It was they're so creative. That's the thing. Tier 2 is that they're so creative. Like they are, you know, they dedicate to trying to put together, trying to top each fight with something more ridiculous or more incredible, you know, these awesome feats. Right. And even when it's just hand to hand combat, it's impressive. You know, they're throwing out stuff that you've never seen people do in a fight before sometimes.
Yeah.
And so like, it's incredible.
I think a lot of that is to the credit of the director Chad Stahelski, who has directed all of the John Wick movies and started his career as a stuntman. So he's an expert stuntman who is now making movies with some of the more incredible fight choreography that you'll see come out of Hollywood today, I feel like.
Yeah, and this is, you know, this is his fourth film with the fourth film on the John Wick. Even his co-director's gone on to do some really fun stuff. So the co-director for that first movie has gone on to do fun stuff and has created this sort of subgenre that, you know, previously existed of action movies, but this style, this John Wick style of just like brutal and really hard hitting, long takes, creative cutting and stuff like that when you're using it. You saw it with Bullet Train and Atomic Blonde and what was the other one that we were, it wasn't Nobody, it was a different film. But anyhow, it's created this new little subgenre of fun movies that focus on things that were kind of forgotten, especially, you know, as much as I love superhero movies, they don't necessarily do, you know, fight choreography that incredibly. They do overcut. And that's just the limitation of the director's not having that eye. But, you know, Stahelski, he's got it, you know, and I'm really fascinated to see what he does next. Like if he's done John Wick, the universe of John Wick may go on with different things, but I'm curious what he will do after John Wick. You know, does he create a new character?
Honestly,
does he try a rom-com?
I think what would be really cool is to take on each genre that is and could be some kind of action flick. You know, I'm really intrigued as to what you could do with a Western movie that really explores those style of stunts versus a samurai movie where those style of stunts, and let those people who are really good at those stunt work shine in an individual genre movie, right? This is kind of a John Wick is an everything professional. He can do it all, but really hone in on just a specific genre. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a continued character. It can just be a Western. It can just be a violent, bloody, whatever. I think that would be something for him to explore and really showcase a spy movie, like those kinds of stunt work, and really test those limits individually.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with the universe going forward. We're a little over half an hour into the show, so I feel like I feel like this is a good point to give the ultimate spoiler warning, and because I'm going to ask the question that we're all left with at the end of the movie. So, spoiler warning: if you haven't seen John Wick Chapter 4, I'm going to ruin it for you. Is he dead? He's dead, right?
Definitely seems to be.
It seems like they really wanted, like, hey, we buried him. But is he?
I know that. Well, that's you never know with these types of things. You never know.
Zombie Wick.
Because that's the obvious future, right? Is that there's just more John Wick. But if they really killed him, I don't know what they're gonna. I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going specifically with that character. Obviously, they've announced a spinoff. They've announced a prequel of sorts with the Continental TV show on Peacock. But is this really it? Because like, it seems like a lot of money left on the table because these movies keep doing well. John Wick is arguably one of the best original characters of the last 20 years.
No doubt. Agreed.
I'd put him up there with, I had two. I would put him up there with Benoit Blanc and Jack Sparrow as like the best new original characters in pop culture over the last 20 years. So it's interesting to think that like they may take a break. They may be done. They may just be done altogether. You know, if this ending holds, which I don't know how. You know, I don't know. Would it be totally John? Would it be totally cool if it was like he just says, "Oh yeah, I faked my death," or whatever? I don't know, because it feels like a really nice ending, but it just feels like it came one movie too soon.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, because like the way he died, I'm like totally cool with, but it just feels like, really, they're gonna do it now? Kind of felt like we had one more movie in us. I felt like I'm not entirely satisfied I'm not as satisfied as I could be.
Yeah, I will jump onto that and say that I did not expect for this movie to serve as a finale for John or for anyone, but so that surprised me when they killed him, and then really seemed to like confirm it. Because I was the same. I was like, fourth movie. It didn't even occur to me that this could be his last.
Yes,
because I thought, oh, there's at least a couple more.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that felt a little soon to kill him.
There's at least
unless they didn't.
I know, and
we don't know yet.
It always could just be like, we need to make the call, and John's been pretending to be dead for several years.
I mean, because
it doesn't feel like that fits with John's character at this point.
Anyway. We know about the show and the Ana de Armas spinoff we already talked about, but like, there's a post-credit scene in this.
There is. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't put post-credit scenes like that in.
Yeah.
If there's not something to come.
Be real. I didn't stay for the post-credit scene.
Oh, okay.
So you can spoil it for me. You can spoil it for me. I feel like we're there.
The post-credit scene, and to give a little setup for it, is the wonderful Hiroyuki Sanada is in this movie, and you guys may or may not recognize him from various movies he's done over time. He was probably the one you guys would remember the most recently was he was in Avengers Endgame. You remember when Hawkeye is fighting in Japan and he has this sort of semi-extended sword fight with a Yakuza. He's that guy, but he's also Japanese acting legend, been in a ton of stuff. I remembered something else he was in the other day, and I was like, oh, anyway, he's on Lost. That was it. Anyhow, he's great. And he dies earlier in the movie at the hands of Kane, played by Donnie Yen, who, again, was playing like a blind hitman who had a history with John Wick. He kills Hiroki, and his daughter swears to John Wick, if you don't kill Kane, I will. And so the post-credit scene is Kane about to be reunited with his daughter, and Sanada's daughter comes up and is going to, she pulls out a knife, implying that she's about to go after Kane. But it cuts to black, so we don't know. My money's on Kane, though, based on the whole rest of the film.
Does the John Wick theme of vengeance get passed on to her for future movies? I don't know.
I don't know.
It will be interesting to see because I feel like, Keanu's put everything on the line, like literally. He has vaulted himself in the Tom Cruise category of action heroes with these franchises and what he like. I mean, if you told me that man got hit by a car for real, I would believe you. I would believe that he took a car shot or two, just to get it right. And so I think he's earned the right to not have to carry this franchise and hope that they can just continue. But I think that he'll still show up because I think that A, nobody's ever dead. And B, I think that if the franchise starts to fall without Keanu, it's easy to pull him back in.
Yeah. For sure. I agree.
And they have I don't remember what they're doing with the expanded world, but they've got their HBO Max shows and things like that. So it will also depend on how successful those are.
Yeah, and John. I mean, Keanu said that he'll come back. He'll basically come back every time they ask him. As long as they're still doing well, he'll come back. So if they want to take a break for a while, I guess I get that. It just doesn't. I don't know. It feels weird because it doesn't feel like it would fit within the John Wick's character to fake his death. It doesn't really seem like him. But then again, who knows? Can we talk about? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add on.
Can we talk about? I want to talk about the bad guy. I want to talk about
Bill
Skarsgård, not Stellan, who I thought was pretty good, but I think I don't know, I'm already. Are you burnt out on Billy already? No.
Is that what you were going to say?
It wasn't really his fault. I just feel like. I feel like we are 4 John Wick movies in, and I kind of feel like the bad guy, like I feel like none of them are as memorable as I want them to be.
He kills them pretty quick.
One of the most memorable bad guys is still Common in John Wick 2 for me. I loved Common, and I really, in my opinion, we have no confirmation that Common is really dead because John Wick did not watch him die. So in my heart, Common is still alive out there somewhere kicking ass. As he does on the mic. And so I want that rematch, but I don't know. I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, I was just kind of like, it was when he was done, I was kind of like, well, he was there, but I don't feel like there was anything that devious about him as a bad guy that I was like, oh yeah, I want to see John Wick get this guy.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of the thing with the concept though, right? It's like, why are you really trying to kill John Wick? It's all just their weird rules of their assassin world. Right. So it was kind of hard to sell the motivation anyway. But I did feel like Bill Skarsgård was dislikable enough in the role to like fit the character of someone that I want to die by the end. I thought he was like really punchable all the time, and just like stylishly evil.
See, other end of that. Well, what do you think, Garrett? If you have a thought on that.
I agree that most of the villains are pretty forgettable, which I think is a shame because I don't take any of them seriously. I just think that these movies are a vessel for John Wick to murder, and I don't have a problem with that. But at some point in time, they become like stormtroopers.
Well, even the even the central bad, you don't like, Yeah,
even the central bad, he's going to he's not going to really serve a threat. And then you keep teasing the table, and then the table has all these like waiters and hostesses and things that are just kind of extensions of restaurants to intimidate you, but you never really get to the top of the table. And like, you got to give me just a little bit more again, just to advance the story. This is just from the storytelling.
In the previous movie, in chapter 3, it was the adjudicator, right? This woman who comes and she's like, the representative of the table, basically putting everybody in these positions. Here, she's replaced by Clancy Brown as the harbinger. And he was pretty intimidating. I was honestly like, oh man, this, Clancy Brown sort of being very commanding of every scene he's in. I was like, okay, I kind of like this guy, but he wasn't the big bad. It was Bill Skarsgård. But anyhow, I also want to talk about a minor big bad, and that was the character Killen Harkin, played by Scott Adkins, who is this German guy with gold teeth that was a very silly bad guy, but honestly really memorable because he had gold teeth. He was huge, and he hit John Wick with a black mask that almost broke his spine. It was pretty cool. He did this spinning. Oh, I froze, didn't I?
No,
oh, you guys.
didn't.
Sorry, you guys look like you were frozen to me, and I was like, oh man. Yeah, he did this spinning heel kick that knocked John down to, and then he just got his head pummeled in. But he kept getting up, and I love a mini boss battle where the character, like John, has to come up against some actual adversity against a character. So that's why like Common really stood out to me, and Zero to an extent in John Wick 3. They sort of like mini henchmen that like the John has to really, really, really try against. So I don't know. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed those characters. The more absurd characters are the fun ones.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the box office, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, does anyone else have anything
Did I have anything
to add?
No, because we talked about everything else, I think.
Yeah, we've talked about all the big ones, all the big spoilers anyway.
Yeah.
How was your audience experience? Because one of these movies,
mine was great. Yeah,
are fun. Is that these movies are so shocking sometimes, and some of the things that you see and some of the ways they open it. And so sometimes you can really get a great audience experience, and it just enhances. I remember going to see Parabellum, and I don't remember which moment it was. It was, I think, a moment when somebody fell a long way down, and somebody in the audience was like, "Oh shit." And like, it was, you just hear stuff like that and people clapping and like screaming. It is normally entertaining. What was your guys' like?
What about you, Josh?
I had a great theater experience, and I think maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much. There were a lot of cheer moments, a lot of applause breaks. People really loved it. It just reminded me of one of my favorite parts I forgot about. The audience loved it when the dog peed on that guy's head.
Oh yeah,
big laughs. Loved it. Cheered, hooted, and hollered.
Yeah, big laughs. That was big in my theater too.
And then at the end, when John pulls out, that his one last trick and shoots Bill right in the head. Cheers. Loved it. Applause.
Cheers. A little bit of laughs for when Shamir Anderson goes, "That was pretty fucking good." when his little line, because like that's what the audience was thinking too. So it was pretty good. Nothing will beat watching John Wick 3 Parabellum with Andrew Nichols, but I was somewhat separated. So I went to the Claremore B&B, shout out to my local theater. And I sat on the row that has the handicap seating. So it's 2 chairs, 2 big empty spaces, 2 chairs, 2 big empty spaces.
Right.
So it was me and a total stranger, really kind of like snuggled up together a little bit. We did not interact or talk, but it was kind of like I felt like I couldn't fully invest because I felt like this person was right over my shoulder that I didn't know. And it wasn't like there were 2 people on either side of me. It was just me and this guy.
You were
like
sharing the pod.
We were watching one movie together.
That makes
separately.
It weird. I've done that before. Didn't like it.
We were drinking alone together.
Yeah.
And it was, so there were a lot of cheer moments. There was kind of a lot of trepidation, I felt like, from my audience, because sometimes the gruesome stuff, like when Mr. Nobody gets his hand stabbed and he has to pull it out the long way. The crowd was like, "Oh," and I myself was like, I was holding my hand just going, ugh. And I feel like there's another one when we talked about him when the German guy, when he fell to his death on the stairs. Audience just went, oh. It just looked awful, and I was just like, oh, my freaking back hurts just watching that. So there was that. There was a big cheer line when "You idiot, he didn't shoot." Big, got him right. So it worked for some people. Me though, I don't really react that much in movies. I'm very quiet, stoic.
That's true.
But internally, I was feeling when John fell down, got the way down the stairs, there was like hesitation and then laughter because people were like, oh, oh, that looks like it hurts. And then like, he kept going further and further and further down. And people started laughing about John Wick tumbling down the stairs. So it was pretty good overall audience experience.
Mine was such a bummer because, they were interactive. They were kind of like, the normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they talked. It was like it rose to the point of you were having a normal conversation. And I was like, I don't mind if you're interactive in a movie like this, but y'all are just like talking about what to have for dinner.
Yeah, loudly. Just chatting loudly.
Like they were really into the movie though, but they were just talking loudly, and it was such a bummer. That's
a primetime audience for you, I'll tell you. That's why I swore them off and went to matinees for most of my life. But the nighttime audience, the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock crowd, they're trifling, you know.
Maybe.
They can get rowdy at night, yeah.
I had one other thing I was going to mention about the theater. Now I can't remember what it was, but Anyway, overall, you know what? Nobody welcomed me to the daggum movie, and that was nice. I really enjoyed.
Where were you, Keanu?
That Keanu wasn't like, "Hey, thanks for coming back to the theater." By the way, I feel like Keanu's gotten worse in these movies in terms of his dialogue delivery. There's one point specifically in the movie where he goes,
critique Keanu Reeves.
Keanu, he I don't know if it's a choice. Does John Wick developing brain damage as a character? Because at one point he goes, "I'm gonna need a gun."
He probably is actually. Look at how many how many hits to that he takes.
I know that's if it's a choice, it's a brilliant choice by Keanu, because like his character says more or less and less of actual substance and says some things really weird like he'll just go, "Yeah," or he'll just go, "All right." Or
listen, at this point in time,
gun. It was a weird way he stuttered into gun for me that really put me off.
We talked about what we do next. At this point in time, take it to the extreme. And don't make it a silent movie, but just don't give me any dialogue and make it one big, giant, long Peter Griffin versus the chicken fight scene. Just for 3 hours, just make it the most intense one scene action movie fight of these two idiots, of John Wick just getting beat down by everyone on a train, plane, bus, automobile, everywhere, but totally silent, no words, just fights.
That's, and like it spans the globe, they go in outer space,
yes, please.
Black and white. Why not?
Yes.
I think they'd actually make a lot of money if they re-released one of these John Wick movies in black and white, but it would, in my opinion, do a disservice to to those movies, because the color of these films is so striking that we don't talk about that enough. But the lighting and color of the movies is it's like neon and it's red, dark reds and stuff like that, and it's really striking at times. But it's easy to like just absorb that and not appreciate it as it's happening.
Yeah, I agree. They're very stylistically consistent, and I like that I can just tell that it's a John Wick movie when it's on. Like I feel like at any point I could just tell, this is probably John Wick. So I like that.
There we go. Well, that's it. So are there any hopes you would have if there were a John Wick sequel beyond the ideas we already said? Is there anything you'd hope for?
I don't know. I guess I hope that he's still alive somehow.
I want to learn more about the table itself. I want to know who's on the table. I want to know how that, I want more. Give me more of that. And also, obviously fighting, but give me more about what the table actually is. That's what I want. And I want Common back.
Well, hopefully we learn more about the table and stuff like that through the Continental series and potentially some other films that are coming up.
Yeah,
I think the Continental is supposed to serve as a prequel of sorts. So
yeah, they're going to go back to the 70s.
We did not talk about Lance Reddick.
No, we didn't, because I was wondering if how much we should say, because it was one of those.
We could just say that it is a surprise death in real life. Mm-hmm. And, you heard the people that worked for him or worked with him on this movie, they praised him.
Yeah.
He was always a character actor to me. but he was always so creepy and so good. He was so memorable at whatever kind of character he was portraying. And his character in these John Wick movie franchises, honestly, really memorable. And I was really, excited to see how they could develop that character, were it not for his surprising and unfortunate death.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to watch him in this movie specifically, because of the real world events. But he was an incredible actor. I've seen him in quite a few things, but he's got just such a impressive vocal quality, I think, because I've seen him not in just live action, but also voiceover. He did a lot of voiceover work, and he just has a great voice. And he brought that to this role, this sort of deep, I don't even know how to describe it, deep, but like very warm character who lives in this very absurd, scary universe of hitmen and assassins and bounty hunters and killer ballerinas and stuff.
He brought a sense of calm and like dignified respect. Mm-hmm. Everybody seemed to just respect him. Mm-hmm. And that was good. I liked that.
It's great.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
All right. We'll get on to the box office results, which we've talked about this. Go back and listen to our old John Wick shows. They're really good. We've talked about how the John Wick movies make more every time. Mm-hmm. So John Wick Chapter 4 opened the weekend of March 24th of 2023, bringing in $73.8 million in its 3-day weekend, which was good enough to it landed in the number 1 spot, just ahead of Creed 3, which brought in 10.4 in its 4th weekend. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is number 3 in its 2nd weekend with 9.3 million. Scream 6 is at number 4 with 8.3 in week number 3. And at number 5, bringing in 3.2 million is 65 in its 3rd week. So dripping down there quite a bit. For the year of 2023, John Wick's already going to start off to a pretty good spot. I think the number 1 movie of the year still is Ant-Man and the Wasp, followed by Creed 3, Megan, and Scream 6. But John Wick, just after its opening weekend, is already in the number 5 spot. So I think it continues to climb. I think it has a chance to, at the very least, catch up to Creed and Ant-Man up there towards that 200 million domestic. And maybe won't be the highest grossing movie by the end of the year, but it's still going to do well. So 73 million opening weekend. For a little bit of, history. John Wick 1 made 14 million in its opening weekend. John Wick 2 made 30, and then John Wick 3 made 56. So it's just going up and up. So it is kind of curious that if they choose to end it here, there feels like John Wick 5 could have been huge. Maybe it will be in 7 years or something, whenever they decide to bring it back. Who knows? Or maybe they do prequels. I don't know. Anywho.
I think they go the zombie route.
I think Zombie Wick, it sounds good to me. That's really all I got. I don't got anything else. So that's your weekend, your year. We'll see how it does at the end of the year. When we do our final year recap, we'll see if it makes the top 10.
Yeah, I suspect it'll continue to be a big hit. And I hope it is. I think it deserves to be. It's still a fun time at the movies. If you're looking for a good excuse to go to the movies, this is a spectacle movie is a good one to do.
Yes,
and this is a spectacle movie.
This is a great family movie.
Yeah. Great family.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, it was good.
No, it's a great family movie. I could not tell you what other movie I could go see this with my grandparents, my parents, my cousins. I would get a whole car full of people, be like, "Hey, y'all want to go see John Wick 4?" And they'd be like, "Hell yeah, let's pile into the truck."
You mean they're not?
Every member of the family would be there.
You mean they're not unloading for Jesus Revolution or 80 for Brady?
No,
they are in the car for John Wick.
And not Shazam! Fury of the Gods, no matter how much Zachary Levi asks us to.
I feel bad for him. I'm going to see it on streaming.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get to it on streaming. I'll
get to it. I still haven't seen Black Adam, so I get around to those eventually. I love that first Shazam. I'll be honest. So
I know. I still do too. Of course I do.
You
got to rib the man a little bit. He's being goofy.
Every actor should be out promoting their movie. Anyhow, John Wick, very
right.
Good. Do not bring your girlfriend; she will hate it.
Probably.
It it is really violent and but great in that sense. So anyway, that's all I got. Well, let's go to the Letterboxd game.
Okay, I got some
wait.
Letterboxd reviews for you guys. They are spicy. They are hot. Okay, we got 5 stars. I can't wait to finally lose my virginity so I can say that this was better than sex. We got another 5 stars. I've seen God tonight, and his name is John Wick. 5 stars. Me and my best friend ending our 14-year-long recess war story.
Yeah.
5 stars. Find someone who loves you as much as John Wick loves dogs.
It's true. The dogs have gotten their revenge for sure between 3 and 4.
And 5 stars. John Wick's biggest enemy was those damn stairs.
Oh yeah.
They were hard to walk up.
200 is something like 260 stairs, as she said, but who's going to climb those 262 stairs? And then he walks up to it and he looks at it and I was just like, well, it's a lot of steps. And John's very tired.
He fell down those stairs for 20 minutes.
It was a long,
And
it was a long fall.
It reminded me of the hot chick. y'all ever see the hot chick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he slips on that damn snowball and
I'll
goes.
tell you what.
I just kept thinking, there's no way he can't just stop himself.
believe-
You're just falling, John.
Yeah, he should. What? At least 2 of those were on purpose. You could see
Yeah.
it. You could see
I
it.
think
Those
he
were on
wanted to
purpose.
fall.
He wanted to
He
fall
was
farther.
trying to get away.
He saw all those other guys that he was throwing downstairs, and he's like, that looks like fun.
Yeah, well, no, he said
There was a
I'd
lot
rather
of
fall down
stair.
these damn stairs and fight all these people again.
You know, the subtitle for this movie, which it's weird that they did only one movie that had a subtitle, but the subtitle should
thinking about that, yeah.
have been Stairs, because there were a lot of stair-based injuries in this movie. There was like at least 5 different people got thrown downstairs hard.
It is super weird that only one movie has a subtitle and the rest are all either just John Wick or chapter, whatever.
Yeah, they
wanna
stuck
go
on
back.
Parabellum for 3, and then that went away from it.
I want to go back to the Letterboxd review real quick because
Yeah.
I think last week in the 65 review, one of the Letterboxd reviews was essentially 90 minutes of Adam Driver just falling and grunting.
Mhm.
This could be applied to this movie as well.
Yeah,
However, one is done right and one is done wrong.
One's two.
I think
one's
that's
two.
critical. That's critical in your
It's true.
review.
It's, if you go back and you listen to our first John Wick review, I compare it similarly to 65 by saying there's not a lot of twists and turns here. Here's point A, here's point B, and then John Wick just goes straight to it, basically. Now, he murders people all along the way in incredibly entertaining fashion, and that's how you do an A to B movie. You know, if you're not going to have like a twist or like a sudden reveal or a crazy thing happen, at your second act mark, you have to have something really entertaining between point A and point B, and that's what they did in John Wick 1. That's what they do here. Although I would say this one has more interesting story elements going on. Anyway, so let's do these guesses.
Yeah.
Do them.
I can't. I know what Letterboxd review is.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you already know?
Yep.
I'm
You guys can guess if you don't know.
so
I'm
terrified.
thinking.
I'm so scared because I know it's
all those reviews I read out loud were 5-star reviews, but that feels like a trick.
Yeah, no, you gotta sort by lowest review and see what the people who are at the bottom
Well,
are saying.
I sort by most popular reviews so that I can see the ones people like the most.
Right.
And just sometimes those are all positive, sometimes they're negative, sometimes it's a mix.
I'm gonna say right now, John Wick Chapter 4 is sitting at a 4.0.
Oh my God. Okay.
Terrified to say that,
Ooh.
but it's only 4 days old, so I feel like it hasn't had time to drip down.
I'm terrified to go higher. Okay, yeah, if you pick 4.0, I'm gonna go 3.9 and hope that it's lower. Cause
Okay.
I don't know.
For context, boys, John Wick, the original, the
Yep.
OG, 3.8 on Letterboxd. John Wick Chapter 2, 3.7.
That's interesting.
Chapter 3, Parabellum, also a 3.7.
Remarkably consistent.
They are more remarkably consistent. So we are
They're not just
going
box
with John
office
Wick.
hits; they're critical hits.
Yeah, they're banger after banger. So on this one, we have a singular winner, no tiebreaker needed, no double points either. but it is a 4.2 coming in at John Wick.
The green
it's early reviews, but everybody is blown away by the stunt work.
There we go.
It is truly impressive stunt work. It is 5 stars for stunt work.
So creative, so in depth, so brutal. Just so great.
Okay, well, that adds another notch to David's tally. Unfortunately, he continues to expand his lead.
So, 1, 2, 3.
But where does that leave us? I dibs last.
So it is me at 6. Josh has 4. Garrett has 3, I think.
Oh,
And then Andrew has 2.
I had 2.
Okay.
Well, technically, you won in the future.
Oh,
For that,
A future episode.
Yeah,
Think about it.
exactly.
Anyway, what are our ratings going to be for this movie?
So similarly, my reviews previously were John Wick 1, 3.5, John Wick 2, 3.5, John Wick 3, Parabellum was a 4.5. I'm going to knock this one down to a 4.
Okay.
Because it's still great, even despite my story complaints.
Yeah, this one's tough because Parabellum was a 4-star movie for me, and that movie is miles better than this one, I think. As a movie, the stunt work though, this one's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yesterday I was down on it with the 3.5. And then Josh, you reminded me about Nunchuck John Wick, and I gave it a 0.5-star bump. So just for Nunchuck John Wick, this is an equal 4-star movie for a radically different reason. The stunt work is peak.
That makes me feel better. In that case, I will not alter my review. I'm keeping it a 4.5.
Perfect.
Because that will make us damn near close to the Letterboxd score.
I think that gives what, a 4.3 or something? As a collective. There
Do
you
the
go.
math real quick. We got what, 2 4s?
2 4s and a 4.5.
That's 4.5. That is a 4.16,
Well,
which
that's
would be a
basically
4.2.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed
There you
it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
What an amazing conclusion to John Wick June in March. I hope that we get to return to John Wick again someday.
Yeah.
And I hope it's called John Wick. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll return for the ballerina maybe and some other things, but I want to see Keanu do this one more time at least.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll do a prequel called Baba Yaga.
The Baba Yaga!
Baba Yaga. There you go.
I'd like that. Okay. Well, that is the end of the show for this week. You guys can find us online as usual at somanysequels.com, where you can get links to all of our social channels and also all our past episodes. You can catch up on John Wick previous editions on there, as well as we've done hundreds of these. You guys know that?
Oh, we've done. I got the exact number for you if you want.
Sure, we've done hundreds of these, so there's a lot of back episodes you can catch up on.
That's true.
You can find all that at somanysequels.com.
This is number 221.
How about that?
Wow.
221. So you got 221 episodes of greatness at somanysequels.com. So go check us out there. And also don't forget about our Patreon. Just search So Many Sequels there, or go to patreon.com/SoManySequels. If you sign up to support us through Patreon, you'll get access to our Discord, where we hang out and post movie news and talk about what we're watching. And we've got some other fun stuff that we throw into. So
one of the things that I want to tease that the Discord helped us out is our next series that we have coming up.
That's true.
We are
Which I think we can go and tease.
We're shifting into things. We're going into April, and we're going to have game night month, essentially.
Yeah.
Very excited.
It's not a great title. It's a word. It's close to. You get the idea.
We do.
Right?
We'll
we're
workshop
focusing
it before
on
it
movies that are inspired in some way, shape, or form by games, board games, video games, strategic games, and
yes,
we had difficulty coming up with a fourth one, and so we pitched to our Discord people, our movie lover fans, and they gave us a whole bunch to decide from. And so they helped us fill out our final month of game-inspired movies. And I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be fun. We've got a couple of new movies, some old movies in there. It's going to be, I don't want to say what they are, but they're
you'll see some.
ones that you'll see in theaters, wink, wink.
At
I'm
least two of them,
excited
I
too.
think.
It'll be great to have it. It's always nice to have a theme with a mix of old and new. I think it'll be fun. So be sure to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube to make sure you don't miss those episodes, because we'll be doing that all April long. Game night month or game night month title pending. We'll see. But yeah, go check that out. So we'll be back next week with, I guess, I think the first episode of Game Night Month. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But we'll be back with new episodes next week. We'll see you then.